Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Harrison, board members, and Dr. Green, I'm pleased to bring to you an update as to where we are with the bond program. It has taken a little longer than we anticipated due to some activities that's in the school, testing, as well as examinations and things of that nature. But I think we're ready to begin moving forward. In your packet before you today, she's handing those out to you right now. Again, this will be a brief overview until we get into the meat of the program. The presentations will probably be a little longer because I'm sure there will be hopefully some good questions that we can respond to and answer. What you have before you is just a brief overview again of what has transpired since our since the last board meeting. Some of the material is pretty much the same because those things have not changed. Again, all of the 8 architectural firms are on site and have done all of their investigations. Some have done them twice. We've asked them, 1 or 2 firms, to go back on a 3rd time to make sure that they have all the information that's needed, and also to meet with the appropriate people in that particular school in order to get the information that will help them with the design as well as with planning. All firms have incorporated the district's fixture standards. We've given them all the standards that we're going to use throughout the district so that we'll not have to constantly go back and replace different fixtures with different models and different brands. So they have been fully apprised of what we expect from them. All firms have submitted their project estimates with the exception of 2. And the staff has reviewed all submittal estimates and recommend that they revisit square footage cost and resubmit for approval in 7 days. And that was from May, and that is scheduled to be due on May 24th, which is this Friday. The next slide again gives you a listing of the schools that are part of Phase 1. Again, this is all Phase 1. I shared this with you on the last presentation. So again, you will see this until we expand that list. There are 1 or 2 schools that are actually in need of immediate services, if you will, or attention, and we would like to possibly bring 1 or 2 of those schools into Phase 1. The next list, or the next slide, the listing of projects have extended. These are pretty much all of the types of projects that will be included in Phase 1. I won't list all of them for you, but it's there for your perusal. The next slide. This is a listing of the initial school projects for Phase 1 under $50,000. Restroom renovations, starting with Murrah, Wingfield, Callaway, Jim Hill, Lanier. Exterior interior door replacements, Murrah, Provine, Wingfield, Jim Hill, and Lanier. The next slide. That includes, excuse me, these are still projects under $50,000 that we can start immediately. And these projects upgrade exterior interior lighting at Provine and Hardy, repair and resurface parking lot at Forest Hill, and replace building entrance walkways and widen pedestrian walkways at Wilkins. Again, this will increase. As a matter of fact, 1 item has been added today, and that is the mechanical system at Hardy. We're in the process of getting informal bids for that particular work and should be able to award a PO no later than tomorrow. and that work should begin Thursday, well, actually Wednesday, to be completed by Thursday. The next page. Phase 1, sign installation. There was a little delay with that. We wanted to get a higher resolution from the architects, their logos. What we had before was not acceptable, so we had to ask them to go back and provide us with a higher resolution of their logos and information for the sign, and we will be able to put those up very quickly. Also, Phase 1 construction projects will begin on or before June 7th. That was a delay. Prior to, we wanted to do that, I think on the 20th of last month. Due to the testing of those dates, due to the testing, we were not able to perform at the time and at the level that we wanted to perform. Phase 1 and Phase 2, as mentioned in the previous presentation, they will roll into each other. We would like to start Phase 2 in terms of soliciting professionals July 1, and that will come in the following slide. The next slide shows the project signs that will be consistent throughout the district. It would illustrate or note what school, also the professionals that will be associated with that school. There are more than 10, 15 projects at Callaway, which includes library, academies, as well as just your basic architectural work, and also your science labs. So we have 3 different professionals managing those 3 types of disciplines. So this is why you have 3 different names and logos on the sites, and that will be consistent throughout the district. The next slide is a typical example of the entrance upgrade to Callaway. This is just a rendering. This is a preliminary rendering. It may change. We had to actually reduce the size of this because it pretty much extended all the way to the street, which was a little more costly than we anticipated. So we had to pull back and make sure that we stay within the confines of the funds that have already been established. The next slide. This is a typical example of Provine's existing library, elevation of it, or a slide of it, or picture of it, excuse me. And also we have the plans for the proposed library entrance, which will pretty much be all glass. And the closer we get to the project, the more rendering color will be presented to really enhance the presentation, if you will. The next slide, this is a typical example of the library existing entrance at Lanier. And again, we do have the plans for that, and also there will be glazing versus concrete walls in Lanier. The next slide. These are some of the examples of the work that we're doing presently. That was a part of the limited tax notes, and this will be consistent, and we will pick this up with the bond program at Wingfield. This is one of the beginning of the starting projects that was done, but actually started maybe 2 months ago. And we're at this juncture, so within the next several weeks, this particular restroom will be completed. Moving to the next slide. This is an example of how we improve the drinking quarters or the drinking nook at Wingfield. And this will be consistent throughout Wingfield as well as all the other schools throughout the district. We are also asking that all drinking fountains be filtered because as of now, they are not filtered. So we will be requesting all drinking fountains be filtered. This certainly enhanced the corridor appearance as one traveled down the corridor. Excuse me. The next slide is an example of the men's restroom. They did not have partitions, but right now we're in the process of improving that, providing new lavatories or sinks, as well as urinals with partitions. The partitions should be erected within the next couple of weeks. And the next slide, as I stated, we will be securing or soliciting professionals for Phase 2 in July 1, and we will begin construction within the next couple of days, starting with Hardy Middle School. And the rest of the projects will begin throughout the course of the 2.5 years. And it would be similar to what design and construction activities that take place in fast food restaurants. They never shut down, but people are still, they still operate and work is still progressing. This is pretty much what will happen at all the schools in Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3.